Hello and welcome back to Dirty Boots Capital. Today we have a very special guest. Gary Pinkerton is on with us today. Good morning, Gary. How are you?
Hey, good morning. It's awesome to be with you, my friend. Love this
Yeah.
shirt, by the way.
Oh, thank you. Yeah. This is my flag shirt. I love wearing it when I'm speaking to great patriots like yourself. You are an amazing man, and I just want to do a little brief intro because you're very humble, and I'm not sure you would expound on all these great things that you do. And I want my viewers to understand the greatness that we have on with us today. You are a wealth strategist. You help people become financially free. You're also a professional speaker, right? Which is very impressive. And you're also, you speak from experience because you are a real estate investor as well, right? So
Mhm.
you're doing all these rock star things, Gary, right? And it's so relevant to the viewers out there because many of my viewers here are interested in building wealth. They're interested in real estate. They're interested in the economy and what's happening today, right? So I think they're going to have a lot of fun listening to what you have to share today. So help us understand, Gary, a little bit about your business and a little bit about your involvement in real estate.
Sure, of course. Well, I appreciate Tony again being on your show. It was awesome having you on Gary's Gulch, my podcast that we'll talk about a little bit later. Um, and like you said, I'm in the financial services business, and I work primarily with entrepreneurs, business owners, and real estate investors. And my clients, those that avatar, they typically do very well in their area of expertise. Yet they unknowingly take on excessive risk in their businesses, often with the way in which they have everything set up. And then they miss huge opportunities in areas that are outside their area of expertise. And so my job is to come alongside my clients and provide this bulletproof strategy that enables them to hit their target with accuracy, what their goals actually are. And, as you mentioned, I am in financial services, yet my background is in engineering. I graduated from the U.S. Naval Academy as a mechanical engineer and added to that a nuclear engineering master's degree from the University of Illinois. And I've been a nuclear submarine officer for 25 years. And part of that included being commanding officer of the USS Tucson in Pearl Harbor, Hawaii from 2009 to 2011, a very pivotal time in our country's economy and kind of economic history for families.
I
And
love that. I love that backstory there because again, you are a true patriot, and you and I have had conversations about what's going
yeah,
on in this country and how we, society, our individuals, need to take back our freedoms
yeah.
that are being stolen a little bit each and every day. So I know you and I are so passionate about that, as well as our viewers here, right?
Yeah.
And I think actually you just touched on something else, having a mechanical engineering degree. I think that's another reason why we resonate so well is because I too have a
Right.
degree in mechanical engineering. So,
That's right.
maybe it's that engineering mindset
Yeah.
that really brings us together along with all the other things. But yeah, great background. Thank you.
Yeah. And so it was that engineering background that led me to go to do so much with this kind of infinite banking concept that I'm sure we'll go into a little bit. And so while I was in command of my submarine, I didn't leave the Navy for about 5 years after that. But when I was finishing command and we went through 2009 to 11, a lot of crazy new ideas were being tested back then. With quantitative easing and things like that. And so to go back a little bit further, I grew up on a dairy farm in what I would say is the most recent time that we've seen what's happening today: high interest rates, high inflation, stagflation of this late 70s and early 80s. And Paul Volcker under Ronald Reagan came in and was given he was given permission and actually the tasking to stop inflation, right? And so instead of just raising 3/4 of a point or 1 point or something like that, getting the lending rates up to like 3%, we're not even there yet, but getting it to 3% while inflation is like 6 or 7 or 10% higher than that, right? So finally he was given permission, stop this thing, and he took lending rates to like 21%. Well, and thankfully that was a short period of time, but it stuck around 15% to 20% for several months. And I personally think we have to go there again. And that's why I love long-term fixed rate financing on real estate, right? That's why I'm a real estate investor, is because when I was a kid and that happened, we lost our farm. We were living in a hand-me-down trailer on my uncle's land. And so I just wanted to get out of that environment. So for a very long time, I chased the W-2 safe, secure job, like Robert Kiyosaki says, right? So I went to school, got a good education, got accepted in the Navy nuclear power program, and then was in nuclear submarines for all that time. And when that all went away, when my, saving more than half of what I made for 20 plus years, most of it went away in 2009, 10, 11, while I was out in the Pacific Ocean paying no attention, I realized a few things. One, there is no way that somebody else is going to manage your money and take care of your money, take care of your family's future the way you're going to do that. And I also learned very humbly as an engineering master's guy that I knew the numbers pretty well, and that's what made us, it's what kept us safe, out in this incredibly harsh environment deep underneath the ocean, and got to come home every day and harnessing nuclear power without having a meltdown or something, right? So that all comes from engineering and science and actually following the numbers. Yet here I was in my own personal finances doing none of that. And so it caused me, like it did you, I'm sure, to dig deep and figure out what in the world was I doing wrong.
Yeah, and I think you hit the nail on the head there. Because and this is this type of things that I know you and I love to share with our viewers, right? You on your podcast, me on my channel, and just speaking with people at conferences and things like that. Looking at the world today, and again, us with our engineering mindset, we take in a lot of data, right? And if we stick with, things we know well, real estate, right? And the viewers are interested in real estate, investing in real estate. It's not like it was 20 years ago. I find that you can go ahead and just invest in real estate today. Investing in real estate today, you have to take in a lot of other information, right? Not just what's happening with the interest rates, but also what's happening with jobs in the future, right? We really need to be looking in the windshield on a lot of these different metrics, as opposed to looking in the rearview mirror and what happened, yesterday for some ISM report or something, right? And we really need to be forecasting what's going on. And that's why I'm still very bullish on real estate, investing in real estate. Even though the rates have gone up some, I'm still investing in real estate. Actually, we were just talking prior to recording this. I'm closing on a place down in Florida, actually two places down in Florida, and I have a offer on a third place down in Florida, right? So I'm still very much investing in real estate. I've picked up probably 150 units via syndications this year so far. So I'm very much still an investor, even with rates going up, because I understand through this engineering mindset that you and I bring to the table. We understand the dynamics in the economy behind the scenes that weighs so importantly on the renter nation that we are becoming here.
Yeah, okay. Absolutely. I 100% agree with that. I'm building 5 in Florida right now, some of which are going to be short-term rentals, and absolutely as bullish as you are. And, I had this great conversation over a year ago now with George Gammon, and, at a dinner, and he said, I completely agree. You are shorting the US dollar by buying, rental properties and putting long-term fixed rate financing on them. Because like you said, they're giving us loans at 6%, where inflation is far, the US dollar is getting deflated at like what, 12, 13, 14%, if you're believing any part of shadow stats, right?
Absolutely.
It's a crazy bargain.
Yeah, absolutely. So help the viewers understand, for those that want to get into real estate, yet are having trouble coming up with, say, a down payment, right? What are some things they can do today to help prepare for, say, 2 or 3 years down the road, if this real estate market does take a dip, right? What can they do over the next, year, 2, 3 years to build up a nest egg to prepare for investing in real estate?
Well, so there's 2 or 3 things that are important to get ready to invest in real estate if you're not there today. Obviously, one is education, like you said, that you have this awesome routine as you educate yourself, surrounding yourself with people who are thinking the same way. And so going to meetup groups, continuing to study on this stuff. It's like you have to focus your brain on really what you want to achieve. And if you're just like, yeah, one day I'm going to get in real estate, I have this intention to get into real estate, but you're not doing anything to immerse yourself 100% in that environment, then you're going to look back 10 years from now and go, wow, where did that time go? Right. And so you need to have the mindset there, and you need to have the education set up there. And as far as like financially building the nest egg, like you asked, you just store money in an efficient location where it's not subjected to loss. And so I wouldn't be putting it at risk right now to invest in Bitcoin or something like that, right? I would be storing it in a safe, liquid, guaranteed location, and that's what I help people do. So there's a little bit of bias there, right? But if you want, cash is trash, but there's also this phrase, cash is king. So cash is trash if you're grandma and you're on a fixed income and it's just sitting in a savings account, right? But cash is king during times where Mass Mutual goes out there and buys up 2 city blocks in downtown Boston in 2009 because all the banks are shedding it, right, on pennies on the dollar. Or Kenny McElroy picks up a bunch of stuff like that. And George Gammon, his entire investing, real estate investing model started with buying stuff when they were cheap in 2011, 12, 13. And so it's about storing the capital and changing your spending habits, changing how you make money. Like what I would personally be doing is realizing that the number one asset is staring yourself in the mirror. And so figure out, how can I earn more to put more in a safe, liquid location so that I've got it available when real estate's cheap and I can get out there and get it. So more hours, maybe, but how about better education, increasing your capacity and what you currently do?
Yeah, absolutely. One of the things in that vein, and there's so much we can unpack there. You just spun gold in a matter of a minute or two monologue there. So much we can unpack. One of the things I share with folks, if they are a W-2 wage earner, that's fine. That's okay, so to speak, to start. But we try to encourage folks, or we do encourage folks to start a business, because a business provides a lot more opportunities for folks, as you know. And so, as you say, our most valuable resource is staring us in the face as we look in the mirror each and every day, right? Either as we shave, brush our teeth, put our makeup on, whatever it is, right? Take this into account, right? And I share these stories with people. If you're a police officer, right? You're a W-2 wage earner, but man, imagine the business opportunities you have to start your own business as a home security company, right? Somebody who can go in, set up security cameras, advise homeowners on how to protect their home in a secure way, right? We live in a very crazy world right now. You hear stories on TV about people who, attack others or commit crimes, and then that very afternoon, they're back out on the streets, right? We have this revolving door policy these days. And so to be able to advise people how to protect themselves, how to protect their home, security cameras, alarm systems, what have you, right? Being an officer on the street as a W-2 wage earner, but also on the side having a business of your own. Man, the credibility that you bring to your business by being a police officer is huge. If I was looking at 2 people to set up home securities for me, and one was a police officer that lives this stuff and sees it every single day, right? They're more apt to get my business than somebody else who doesn't see that aspect of the world. So
Absolutely.
there's a very easy way for somebody who's a W-2 wage earner to be able to start their own business, right? With low to no inventory, right? Very low startup costs, and be able to create a business for themselves, and then eventually grow and maybe franchise there, right? And do something different. There's so many different, if you're a teacher, you can start a tutoring business, right? There's so many folks who are doing homeschooling these days who may not feel comfortable with creating a curriculum or creating, selecting reading materials, right? If you're a teacher who has some skills and some ambition to be able to go off and start your own consulting business, to be able to meet with homeschoolers, to be able to help them start, there's an amazing business to be started there. So there's so much equity that we hold in ourselves, in our bodies, more than just, what's in our bank account, equity that we have in ourselves and in our mind to be able to create something greater for ourselves. So I love the fact that you brought that up, and sorry for probably taking too much time.
No, it's awesome. And in fact, I have an exact example of what you just talked about. I was talking to a gentleman who's father of one of my longtime clients on Monday, I think it was, second meeting. And so his challenge is he was a police officer, retired just a couple of years ago, started a security firm and made $1 million this year doing that. And because he started working with a startup company, right? And now he's got a bunch of real estate that he created in the Midwest. And he started to look into like doing some construction and development, and he's a full-time real estate investor now. live in the world of freedom because he used his, his skills and experience to create a job exactly in the field you just mentioned.
That's amazing. I love it. I love it. Thank you for sharing that so that folks
Mhm.
know this is real. These are things they can
Absolutely.
take action on. It just takes a little bit of oomph, a little bit of, energy to start these things. But I want to go back and unpack something else that you had shared.
Uh-huh.
So for real estate investing, to create that nest egg,
Mhm.
you had introduced me to this concept of using insurance policies as a vehicle to create a nest egg from which you can then withdraw, or I guess take a loan from to be
Uh-huh.
able to create the down payment for
Yeah.
investing in real estate. Can you
Yeah.
help the viewers understand that a little better?
Yeah, absolutely. So to have a successful real estate business and not fall victim to what happened to a lot of my friends, clients, fellow real estate investors in like 2008, 9, 10, where they were speculating a lot actually, or they just got out over their skis and they got to a point where they needed liquidity and they didn't have it, right? So that when everything shut down as far as the real estate sales and the continuous appreciation that we saw there, which by the way is happening now again in a lot of locations in America, where not only are prices turning, but stuff stayed on the market for weeks and weeks, right? They didn't have any liquidity, and so they would say that I was over leveraged, and I would say no, you weren't over leveraged. In fact, having leverage is awesome because I always talk to people about how do you have the most control over the resources in your life, and when it comes to cash and equity or money or wealth, having it sitting in cash in your grubby little hands, if you will, right, is the highest control position you can have. If you have equity in a property, that's nice and cute, but when the banker says, sorry, we're not lending now because we're in a financial crisis, or it's 2020 again and we're not lending or whatever, right, then it's actually nothing more than just making you feel good on paper. You're still in trouble. So all of us have to have liquidity. It's okay to be 100% leveraged on things. I'm 100% leveraged on many of my properties. Yet I have my hands on that access and that I did, on that money that I had pulled back as leverage. And so the big mistake that people make is they just deploy all of it and they have no liquidity, right? So you do need that foundational piece, which is for your emergency fund for the family. It's reserves for your properties and businesses in case the tenant stops paying or you have a big expense, right? And so you need that stuff. The question is, where do you put it? And then also, as you mentioned, that down payment. So going back to that individual that's saving for 2 or 3 years to be ready for that first big property when the prices are inexpensive and they can get it for a song, right? Where do they save it? Right. And so there are a lot of people who will talk to you about things that are not safe, liquid, and they're more like investments. Like there's this thing called universal life insurance, which is really an investment, and your money's not 100% safe, liquid, and guaranteed, which means it's not on the table for what I talk to my clients about and what I personally do in my life. It has to be guaranteed, not to be lost, and liquid for you to go get it, or it's not filling this foundational piece, again, as the emergency fund, the reserves, and then the opportunity fund for the next money or for the next opportunity. So simply they're saving in this life insurance policy, which they could do in a savings account or safe in their house or heck under the mattress if they got a good security system. But in the life insurance policy, it's growing. It's more private, more protected, and it's growing at 4 to 5% today, and historically has been much higher than that without tax, right? So imagine like saving your money in a checking account for 3 years or saving your money in a life insurance policy where it grows, at a much higher rate without tax, and it brings death benefit for your family and all those other protections. So it's just simply storing your money in a different location. I wish it were sexier than that. It's not. It's
No, but
foundational.
but it also, you just, added on there. It provides other benefits for you as well in
Yeah,
terms of
a lot of.
life
Mhm.
insurance, death benefits, things like that for your family, right? And that's things,
Yeah.
you and I are and other investors, look at in terms of managing our lives. We like to purchase things that have more than just one benefit to us, right? Like real estate. Real estate, sure, it provides cash flow, but it provides so many other things in terms of uh, appreciation of the property, being able to depreciate the property over time and get some tax benefits as a result of, right? Our tenants are paying down our mortgage, not us, right? So there's a lot of benefits that come along with real estate, but also this life insurance policy scenario plan that you outlined here also provides multiple benefits
That's
to
right.
the
If I
user.
could, that's right. If I could share a real quick story. So
Yeah.
we're, so 2011, I started my real estate investing, and I had a $50,000 down payment on a new construction 4-unit building in San Antonio that I still have the building. That thing can be a pain sometimes. It was horrible at the beginning, but it's, I pulled out all of my cash. It's cash flowing nicely now. I'm doing like a $5,000 repair on it right now. So sometimes, real estate becomes a thorn in your side, yet you step back and look at it. It's been an amazing asset. As I'm getting ready to start that one though, I'm saying, okay, I don't want to repeat the mistakes I'd made in the markets. And so I don't want to put my money at risk of loss. And I realized that if I put all that equity, that 50K at the time, into the down payment of the property, then I've immediately put some more of my family's money at risk. It's not really heavily at risk, but somebody could sue me and take the property or something, right? And that equity's gone again. And so I was trying to find out, how do I do this time without my money? And so I was, reading all the Carlton Sheets books about no money down and all that stuff. And somehow it led me to Patrick Donahoe, Paradigm Life, who's an awesome friend, business partner of mine. And he taught me this infinite banking approach. And so I did it for that first property. And then I was doing it for a couple more properties. And then I'm having dinner with my wife, a anniversary dinner. And I'll say this was like 2014, I think. And I just went into contract on like 4 properties. And I was super excited about these things. And so I tell her, like, hey, we're going to be owners of 6 properties. And I didn't even, like, she was studying to be a nurse and she was super busy with the kids and everything. I hadn't even talked to her about it because I was commuting to be, at the Pentagon, working on the Joint Chiefs staff at the time, super busy. And it had not occurred to me that my wife wanted to be involved in what I'm doing with all this money.
Very brave man, not telling your wife about that.
So I'm sure there are most other husbands out there can relate to those silly, naive moves. So she drops her spoon when I tell her this, right? In this, this restaurant we're in, and makes a big noise. And she's like, "You've got to stop," just red faced. And I'm like, "Stop what?" And she's like, "How much debt do you have right now?" And so, I'm thinking about, okay, yeah, you're right. So there's a couple $1 million debt. And so I let kind of things calm down, of course. And a few minutes later, as I was pondering this, I was like, hey, if I died, she's like, she made the comment that, what if you die? Like, I don't even know anything about real estate yet. Like right now she's managing for us. She's awesome. But this was 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And so I was thinking about that. And I was like, do you remember how I had you like getting stuck by this nurse for blood work at, 8 a.m. on a Saturday morning one time for this life insurance stuff? Well, if you remember, the point of that was so that we could store our cash. Yet, I do have $2.5 million of death benefit on me. And so you could just pay off the houses, or you could give them back to the bank and keep the cash. And the change in her complexion, physical change, made me realize that, there's more to this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. It's, it's so funny. It's mindset. It goes back to that, what you started with, mindset, and the people you hang around with, your educators, the folks you learn from. There's so much truth in what you opened up with and talking about that. I was chatting with somebody about, so I'm closing on this property down in Florida, and it's going to cash flow X amount, and then I have this offer on this other property. So I had posted on Facebook, hey, these 2 properties, are going to cash flow enough for me to buy this, and I posted a picture of a very flashy Ferrari, which is one of my goals one day, to buy a Ferrari, right? And so, it wasn't so much whether I am or not going to buy the Ferrari, right? It was more the point of to share with the audience to say, if you have a dream, and that dream for me, it's, I don't have kids, right? As you know, I don't have kids. It's just, just myself. So for me, it's, hey, I want to buy a toy. I want to buy a Ferrari one day, right? But for others that have kids, right, have a family, they may be coming into, I need to pay for weddings. I need to pay for college. My, I have 2 teenagers who are each going to need a car, right? To commute back and forth to work, to college, whatever it is, right? So they're coming into these expenses and later in their lives. And so my point of the post was, for me, it's a Ferrari, but for somebody else, it could be invest in a couple of properties, enough to cash flow to be able to pay for that car, right? That loan on the car, or 2 cars for your teenagers, right? Or to pay for that monthly college bill, or to help sock away some money for a wedding one day, right down the road. So it's creating that mindset that we talk about, hanging around the right folks to be able to come up with these creative solutions, it's not taking your money and going off and wasting it on something frivolous. It's talking about buying assets, right? That are going to cash flow and appreciate in value such that you're creating some wealth, right? This perpetual wealth for ourselves.
Right.
And just being able to hang around with folks to not only educate in that sense, but also getting more nuanced in how do I get into my first property, right? I get that all the time. Tony, how do I save? How do I get into my first property? And this is what I love about the insurance policy and being able to create the nest egg there, because as we go into this potential downturn in the real estate market, I think we're creating the next 1, 2, 3 years where somebody can really leverage that model that you spoke about to be able to create a nest egg to pull the trigger on a property. So thank you for getting into that.
Absolutely. And so you're right, it's mindset. And what I found personally about my mindset is that I never saved cash. So I was probably like the guys in real estate in 2008 and 9 and 10. I never saved cash in a bank because it was super frustrating, even at the low interest rates, to have money sitting around. So I didn't have the opportunity. You know, a great guy, Nelson Nash, in this industry that I'm in with infinite banking, and he would always say that when you're in a position of cash, opportunity will seek you out. And I have found that I wouldn't say it seeks you out. I would say that it steamrolls you from numerous directions. Like if you have cash, you get flooded with opportunities. It's not like you're being a victim and people are trying to take advantage of you. It's just that you now have the ability to solve somebody's challenge. But more importantly, is you have this mind that is thinking, what should I do with this? Right. So you're driving to work or you're driving to the grocery store, a trip you've taken 1,000 times, but now all of a sudden you're saying, wow, look, that thing's for sale. I might be able to do something with that. Right. And so you have a completely different mindset. And really, and you were saying about the cash flow to create, the ability, the wealth. Maybe some people will push back. Probably no one who listens to your show here, but maybe they'll push back and say, well, why do I just grow all this wealth for? What's the purpose? The purpose really is not to build a pile of money. The purpose is to obtain agency, right? You need to have the ability to act in your own self-interest and to make your own financial decisions. That's why I moved to Florida, because the governor of our state at the time in 2020 said, look, if you don't like how I'm running this place, you can leave. Well, the fact is most people could not leave because they did not put agency in their life. Sue and I could leave. And thankfully, my family followed me on this one. And I said, sorry, guys, we're moving. And so it's just an example of how, I heard not Tony Robbins, but I heard Darren Hardy say it this morning on Darren Daily, that, he's talking about people being able to develop agency in their own life. And that's what passive cash flow does for you. You're not tied to a location. You're not tied to having to bow to somebody else's political will. You can live your life under the fundamentals and things that you believe.
Absolutely. That's so powerful. Yeah, I'm working on creating or obtaining a dual citizenship. My parents were migrated from Portugal, right? So I'm working on a citizenship via descent to be able to create even more opportunities for myself through dual citizenship, right? With another country, right?
Yeah.
It's that agency that you speak of, that isn't taught in our schools, right? That isn't spoken about on television, in the media with politicians or anything like that. That's spoken about amongst wealthy people, folks who are taking control of their lives, right? To be able to create these freedoms for ourselves, both personal freedoms and financial freedoms. So super important that you bring that up. One of the areas I'd like to touch on just briefly here is one thing I struggle with, because we have I and others have these conversations to help people. Truly, we don't monetize it, so give this free advice, right? My YouTube channel is free to everybody and anybody who wants to listen to me ramble on about things, but it's free advice and good advice because I'm an example of creating freedom for yourselves and being absolutely free. But some folks have trouble taking initiative. They have trouble taking action. Help me understand what are some simple things people can do to change, to be able to, take some baby steps that end up creating results that end up creating momentum in their lives? What are some simple things people can do? Maybe the viewers are struggling with, okay, I got to tune you guys out because I got to go to work and then I got to pick up the kids and then I got to, go do this. And, there's people have a lot of things going on in their lives, but what are some simple things they can do to take action and change their daily routine?
Yeah, I was reflecting on a book that Leonard Rainier put out, and I can't at the moment remember something about small steps or small incremental changes. It was a great book, and in there, and he's not the only guy who has said this. Yet what he said was like all of these things, like all the advice I'm going to give you, it's not going to be a mic drop moment where people are like, oh my God, you changed my life. I now know what to do, right?
Yeah.
Because all of these things are easy to do. The problem is that not doing them is only slightly easier. Listen, it's easy not to go out and buy candy, or even if it's already in my refrigerator, eat it.
Yeah.
But it's just slightly easier to do it, right? And it's easy to go work out, even though I don't enjoy it at all. But it's easier to sit on the couch or hit the snooze button. It's just a little bit easier,
Yeah.
right? And so the reason we do those things is because we have some reason to go. Because we have some inner drive to go do it. And start with why. All of these books and things that are out there, like I don't have anything really new about that. But what I would say is, if once you have the burning desire to go do it, then you just take small incremental steps to make it happen. It's this whole like forming a habit thing. But what I also like is, again, back to Darren Hardy. He has a book called Compound Effect, and in there he talks about setting up your self for success, not failure, in developing these habits, meaning that you do something that just gets you right over the edge. And so his example is like going to work out. Like you use as your excuse in the morning that it's just so difficult to find the clothes and do that when maybe you're sleeping in the room with your spouse and you don't want to wake them up. You're like, this is for them. I'm gonna just hit the snooze button, right? Because so set up the stuff, ahead of time so that all you have to do is do that. Much easier one is like have a buddy that you're going to work out with and they show up at your door and you don't want to let them down, right? So whatever it is, if it's getting ready for real estate investing, then what step do I have to take? Automate a payment over to my real estate savings account, or start the life insurance policy, and then they hold you accountable to make a premium payment, which is saving into your new bank. So set something up that automates it, or that you have some kind of defense in the back that keeps this process going, that you have help in making sure that the momentum gets started with this new habit. And then the other thing I would say is we all are where we intended to be right now at this moment. I certainly didn't create that one either. Yet if I have too much debt and too little savings, if I am surrounded by people who remind me why I should not do real estate, then I'm there because I want to be there. So if I truly want to change, I need to change the environment. I need to be around people who support me in what I want to do, not detract from what I want to do. And that might mean that you hang out less in conversations, even with your own immediate family. And the reason you're hanging out less is because you spend the time to go to this real estate meetup group, or you spend the time to write your own book about why it's important. But you need to change the environment around you, or you won't be successful, I don't think, long term.
And again, I'm going to touch again on three of the things you just mentioned there, because that is gold. That is gold for people, Gary. Absolutely. So the first one is habit, right? We have to change our habits, right? And that is, sometimes a difficult thing to do, but it's also sometimes a very easy thing to do. And it also, I will tell folks from experience, it gives me greater motivation once I nail some of these habits, right? For example, you mentioned working out. Working out is like, 30 minutes of my morning. But you know what? After I worked out and I busted my butt for 30 minutes to burn 300 calories, I'm less likely to reach for that candy bar now, because I know the pain that I felt earlier this morning and the pain I'm going to feel tomorrow, right? So now that creates a habit of healthier eating, right? And healthier choices when I go out to eat at a restaurant. Am I going to choose the fried chicken, or am I going to choose the grilled chicken? Well, I'm going to choose the grilled chicken. And if I get French fries with it, I'm not going to have a beer with it, right? It creates healthier choices for ourselves. And that's just with creating a habit around working out. Imagine the habit you create now when, instead of, when you go to social media, choose, it doesn't matter which social media people subscribe to, right? the habit of, are you looking at cute puppies and funny cat videos? Or are you, selecting the habit of taking a look at following, uh, wise teachers, thought leaders, real estate
Mhm.
investors, folks who are actually going to, propel you forward in your thoughts and in your motivation, right? So it's those habits. You mentioned, so aside from habits, accountability. One of the best things I find, not only for myself, but also for the folks I consult with, and I'm sure you find it as well, is the fact that I know I'm going to have a weekly meeting with my business consultant. I know I'm going to be held accountable by her. So, so do you think I'm going to get my tasks done and calibrate my mind to be able to support that meeting next week? Absolutely,
Yeah,
because she's going to
absolutely.
hold me accountable. The same thing when folks consult with me and you, when they come to the next meeting, I'm going to hold them accountable. So creating this accountability system, not to beat ourselves up, but again, to create an atmosphere where we're motivated to achieve greater things and actually achieve them, right? And then the last thing I'm going to touch again on is automate. Um, there's so many easy ways to automate our lives today, right? You had mentioned savings, right? Investing in a life insurance policy to create that nest egg. It's so easy to automate your savings to be able to direct, from your W-2 job on the reoccurring paycheck to automate money flow to that investment
Mhm.
policy, right? So easy to automate that. The same way with looking for real estate. It's so easy to get onto Redfin or Realtor.com, right? Onto those apps and automate every time a property that shows up with these types of features. I want to get an alert, right? How
Mhm.
easy is that to automate to be able to get an alert when something shows up in your price range for you to jump on before the next person does, right? Automate your life in those smart ways. So again, you're spinning gold here, Gary. Man, you're amazing. I know the viewers are gonna love this. But our time is limited, and I thank
Yeah,
you so much
yeah.
for being here with us. For those that are watching or listening on the podcast, how can folks reach out to you and learn more about what you do and the help that you provide, Gary?
Yeah, so I tried to really simplify it. So it's just my name. So if you go to garypinkerton.com, then you'll find out, kind of more about me, and you'll probably find out that I need to update my website, and I'll take those suggestions too. Uh, and then as far as the email, it's just Gary at that same one. So Gary at garypinkerton.com. And happily, we'll send over a short ebook that I wrote, some other resources, lots of videos. You can find us on YouTube as well. So would enjoy anyone who's like-minded and any of this resonated with. I would be honored to help and talk to you.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Gary, for your time today. I know you've helped our viewers, so I appreciate it. They appreciate it. And keep doing great things, my friend.
I appreciate it too. Look forward to next time, my friend.
Absolutely. Have a great day. Thank you.
Bye.